If you've recently lost your employment and you're researching your options, you may have read a lot about wrongful dismissal. You also may have come across the concept of unjust dismissal, and you might be wondering what this is and how is it different. To help you better understand this, in this video, I am going to share 5 things that you should know about unjust dismissal to know whether it applies to your circumstances and what additional rights you might have if it does. The first thing you should know is that unjust dismissal is different from wrongful dismissal. Wrongful dismissal refers to a common law concept whereby if an employee's employment is terminated without sufficient notice or pay in lieu of notice, they are entitled to additional compensation. This is a broad common law concept that applies to many employees throughout Canada. Unjust dismissal is different in that it's a statutory remedy that exists under the Canada Labour Code. It's important to acknowledge the distinction between these terms because there are substantial differences in terms of who they apply to and how these claims are advanced. The second thing that you should know about unjust dismissal is that it only applies to federally regulated employees. This is because it is a statutory remedy that exists under the Canada Labour Code that does not apply to all industries. There are certain industries which are federally regulated, like telecommunications, aviation, and banking, to name a few. This means that in order to pursue a claim for unjust dismissal, you must work in one of these federally regulated industries. If you're wondering whether you are in a federally regulated industry and whether the unjust dismissal remedy applies to you, we do have a list of federally regulated employers on our website. You can access this list in the blog post that is linked in the description to this video. The third thing that you should know about unjust dismissal claims is that you can pursue reinstatement as a remedy. In a wrongful dismissal action that is pursued by most employees who've had their employment terminated, they're not pursuing reinstatement as a remedy, but just simply damages for the failure to provide adequate pay in lieu of notice. So this is a substantial difference with unjust dismissal claims, which specifically provide for reinstatement as a remedy. If you can prove that the employer did not have a good reason to terminate your employment, you can be reinstated to your role. This is obviously a very significant remedy and can give you substantial leverage in your negotiation process with your employer. The fourth thing you should know is that not all federally regulated employees can pursue this remedy. For example, managerial employees are exempt from pursuing unjust dismissal claims. However, determining whether or not someone is a managerial employee doesn't mean just looking at their title. Oftentimes, people will have the word manager in their job title, but they won't actually hold a managerial role with the employer. In fact, there are multiple different factors that will be looked at in order to assess whether or not someone is a managerial employee. Another situation where unjust dismissal and the reinstatement remedy are not available is where the employer can prove that some sort of shutdown of operations led to the termination of your employment. So if your employer is closing its business or even just ending a particular line of business, then in these circumstances, you might not be able to pursue an unjust dismissal claim. The fifth and final thing you should know about unjust dismissal is that there is a much tighter timeline than there is for regular wrongful dismissal claims. Under the Canada Labour Code, an employee only has 90 days from the date of dismissal to pursue an unjust dismissal claim. This is significantly shorter than the 2-year limitation period that applies to employees seeking to pursue wrongful dismissal claims in Alberta. Because of this tighter timeline, it is very important to act quickly if you want to pursue an unjust dismissal claim. Again, I'm Mike with Cashion Legal, and we're an employment law firm based out of Calgary, Alberta. We provide advice and representation to employees who are looking to pursue unjust dismissal claims, and we're committed to providing all of our clients with clarity, strategy, and peace of mind. If the content of this video is applicable to your situation, or if you're looking for advice on another employment law issue, you can connect with the team at Cashion Legal through our website.